The moment Mrs. Bean stepped out of that salon, the world stopped. People on the street couldn't believe their eyes. Was this really the same person who used to struggle with opening a simple door? But Mrs. Bean's first steps were disaster after disaster. Those 6-inch heels turned into weapons of mass destruction. Within the first 5 minutes, Mrs. Bean had knocked over 3 trash cans, bumped into 2 lamp posts, and accidentally tripped 5 different people. The handbag situation was even more ridiculous. Mrs. Bean had no idea how to carry a purse. First, she wore it on her head like a hat. Then she dragged it on the ground like a pet. Finally, she got so tangled in the straps that she looked like she was being attacked by a leather snake. But here's the craziest part. People were actually helping her. For the first time in Bean's life, strangers were being kind and patient. An elderly woman helped untangle the purse straps. A young man offered his arm for support while walking in heels. Mrs. Bean was experiencing something shocking, human kindness. But the confusion on her face was hilarious. She kept looking around wondering why everyone was being so nice. Then came the bathroom crisis. Mrs. Bean stood outside the restroom doors for 15 minutes, completely paralyzed with confusion. Which door should she choose? The internal battle was written all over her face. A little girl finally pointed to the ladies' room and said, "Pretty lady, that's your door." Mrs. Bean's reaction was priceless. She started doing a little happy dance right there in the hallway. But the real shock came when Mrs. Bean tried to sit down at a cafe. She forgot about the dress completely and tried to sit like she always did. The result? Total chaos. The dress flew up, the chair tipped over, and Mrs. Bean ended up on the floor in a pile of fabric. The entire cafe erupted in laughter, but instead of being embarrassed, Mrs. Bean started laughing too. For the first time ever, Bean was laughing at herself and enjoying the chaos she created. What happened next will blow your mind. The world wasn't ready for Mrs. Bean. Within hours, social media exploded. Videos of Mrs. Bean's chaotic adventures started going viral. At the shopping mall, Mrs. Bean caused the biggest scene in retail history. She walked into a designer store and the sales assistants had no idea what they were dealing with. Mrs. Bean started trying on everything. She put on 12 different dresses at the same time, layer after layer until she looked like a walking fashion tornado. The store manager called security thinking there was a crazy person in the store. But here's the shocking twist. Mrs. Bean accidentally started a new fashion trend. Her layered dress look became an internet sensation. Fashion bloggers called it the Bean layer method and it spread across the globe. The restaurant experience was legendary. Mrs. Bean walked into a fancy French restaurant and the chaos that followed became the stuff of legend. She couldn't understand the menu, so she started pointing at random things. When the waiter brought her escargot, Mrs. Bean thought they were chocolate candies. Her reaction to eating snails was so dramatic that other customers started filming. The video got 10 million views in one day. But the most incredible moment happened at the park. Mrs. Bean saw children playing and something magical occurred. She joined them in their games, and for the first time, the kids weren't scared of Bean's weirdness, they loved it. Mrs. Bean became the coolest adult in the playground. She was spinning on swings, going down slides in her dress, and playing hopscotch in high heels. Parents were amazed at how their children connected with this mysterious woman. News reporters started showing up everywhere Mrs. Bean went. Who is this mysterious woman? Became the question on everyone's lips. Little did they know, they were witnessing the greatest transformation in comedy history. Social media influencers started trying to copy Mrs. Bean's style. The #Mrs. Bean challenge went viral with people attempting her chaotic fashion sense and hilarious mishaps. But then something unexpected happened that changed everything. Behind all the laughter and chaos, Mrs. Bean was experiencing emotions that Mr. Bean had never felt before. For the first time in her life, Mrs. Bean felt what it was like to be truly accepted. People weren't just laughing at her, they were laughing with her. Children wanted to be her friend. Adults treated her with kindness and respect. But the most shocking moment came when Mrs. Bean looked in a mirror at the end of the day. For the first time ever, she saw someone who looked happy, not confused, not lost, but genuinely happy. The tears that rolled down Mrs. Bean's face weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of joy. She had discovered something incredible about herself. She had found a part of her identity that had been hidden for 30 years. But here's the heartbreaking truth. Mrs. Bean started to realize that this transformation wasn't just about clothes and makeup. It was about freedom. Freedom to be different. Freedom to express herself. Freedom to be whoever she wanted to be. Late that night, Mrs. Bean sat in her apartment, still wearing the dress, still wearing the makeup, and asked herself the most important question of her life: who am I really? The answer came like a thunderbolt. She wasn't just Mr. Bean anymore. She wasn't just Mrs. Bean either. She was both. She was someone who could be anything she wanted to be. But the world wasn't ready for this revelation. The next morning, photographers were camped outside her building. Reporters were demanding answers. "Who is Mrs. Bean?" they shouted. Mrs. Bean realized that her little experiment had become a global phenomenon. But with fame came pressure. Everyone wanted to put her in a box, to define her, to make her choose between Mr. Bean and Mrs. Bean. The weight of the world's expectations started crushing down on her. Should she go back to being the old Mr. Bean? Should she stay as Mrs. Bean forever? Or was there a third option that nobody had considered? Stop everything. What you're about to see will destroy everything you thought you knew about Mr. Bean. This isn't just a story. This is the most shocking secret that's been hidden from the world for decades. Mr. Bean, the innocent, childlike comedian we all love, is about to become Mrs. Bean. And I'm not talking about putting on a dress for 5 minutes. I'm talking about a complete, life-changing transformation that will leave you speechless. This transformation is so insane, so unbelievable, that when you see what happens, you'll question reality itself. Are you ready to have your mind blown? Because what happens in the next 20 minutes will change how you see Mr. Bean forever. You think you know Bean? You think you've seen everything? Wrong. This is the story they never wanted you to hear. For over 30 years, Mr. Bean has been making us laugh with his innocent chaos. But what if I told you there's a dark secret behind that childlike smile? What if everything we know about Bean is just the beginning? It all started with one terrifying moment when Bean looked in the mirror and asked himself the question that would change everything. What if I'm not who I think I am? From that moment, Bean's world turned upside down. What began as innocent curiosity became an obsession that led to the most shocking transformation in entertainment history. Buckle up, because Mrs. Bean is coming, and she's going to turn your world upside down. It was 3 a.m. on a stormy Tuesday night when everything changed for Bean. While the whole world was sleeping, Bean stood in front of his bathroom mirror, staring at himself with an expression we'd never seen before. For the first time in his life, Bean wasn't just confused, he was questioning everything. Who was he really? Why did everyone expect him to be the same person every single day? The questions were driving him crazy. Then something incredible happened. Bean saw a late-night commercial for a beauty salon, and suddenly his eyes lit up like never before. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was destiny calling. The next morning, Bean did something no one expected. He marched straight into Glamour Palace, the most expensive beauty salon in the city. The receptionist nearly fainted when she saw him walk through those glass doors. But Bean wasn't backing down. He pulled out a magazine from his jacket, and get this, it was a fashion magazine. Our Bean, who wears the same brown jacket every single day, was holding a Vogue magazine. He pointed at a picture of the most glamorous woman on the cover and made his famous grunt sound. The salon staff looked at each other like they'd seen a ghost. Was Bean really asking for that transformation? The head stylist, Maria, later said it was the most shocking moment of her 20-year career. Bean wasn't just asking for a haircut. He was asking to become a completely different person. And here's the craziest part. Bean had been planning this for weeks. His apartment was filled with women's magazines, makeup tutorials printed from the internet, and even high-heel shoes hidden under his bed. This wasn't a random decision. Bean had been living a secret life that nobody knew about. The transformation into Mrs. Bean wasn't just beginning. It had been building up inside him for months. What happened next will shock you to your core. The moment Bean sat in that salon chair, everything changed forever. Maria, the head stylist, had no idea what she was getting herself into. First, they started with Bean's hair. But this wasn't just any haircut. Bean wanted the full Hollywood treatment. Long, flowing hair that would make every woman jealous. The wig selection process was insane. Bean tried on 17 different wigs. Blonde, brunette, red, black, even pink. With each wig, Bean's personality completely changed. It was like watching 17 different people emerge from one body. But here's where it gets crazy. When they put on the long blonde wig, something magical happened. Bean looked in the mirror and for the first time in his life, he smiled. Not his usual confused smile, but a genuine, confident smile. The makeup process was pure chaos. Bean had never seen foundation before and thought it was paint. He grabbed the brush and started applying it like he was painting a wall. The makeup artist was screaming. Then came the lipstick disaster. Bean applied it so thick that he looked like a clown. But instead of being embarrassed, he started making kissy faces at the mirror. The entire salon was in hysterics. The eyeshadow incident was even worse. Bean discovered glitter eyeshadow and went completely wild. He covered his entire face in glitter until he looked like a disco ball. The staff didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But the most shocking moment was yet to come. When they brought out the dress options, Bean's reaction was unbelievable. His eyes went wide, his mouth dropped open, and he started jumping up and down like a child in a candy store. The red dress, the blue dress, the black evening gown, Bean wanted to try them all. And when he finally put on that first dress, the transformation was complete. Mr. Bean was officially gone, and Mrs. Bean had taken over. This is it. The moment you've been waiting for. The shocking conclusion that will change how you see identity forever. Mrs. Bean made a decision that stunned the entire world. Standing in front of thousands of reporters, Mrs. Bean did something unbelievable. She slowly removed the wig, wiped off the makeup, and stepped out of the dress. But what she said next will blow your mind. I am not Mr. Bean. I am not Mrs. Bean. I am simply Bean. And Bean can be anything Bean wants to be. The crowd went completely silent. This wasn't the ending anyone expected. Mrs. Bean had discovered the ultimate truth. Identity isn't about clothes, makeup, or what others expect. It's about having the freedom to be authentic to yourself, whatever that looks like. But here's the incredible twist. Mrs. Bean didn't disappear forever. She became part of Bean's identity. Some days Bean felt like Mr. Bean, some days like Mrs. Bean, and some days like something completely different. The world had learned the most powerful lesson ever. You don't have to fit into one box. You can be multiple versions of yourself. You can change, grow, and explore different sides of your personality. Social media exploded with support. #BeAnythingYouWant became the biggest hashtag in internet history. People around the world started embracing all sides of their personality. Mrs. Bean's transformation had started a global revolution. It wasn't about gender. It wasn't about conformity. It was about freedom. Freedom to be authentically, unapologetically yourself. Today, Bean continues to surprise us. Sometimes we see the classic Mr. Bean, sometimes the fabulous Mrs. Bean, and sometimes entirely new versions we've never seen before. The ultimate message? You are not limited to one version of yourself. You can be kind, you can be funny, you can be serious, you can be glamorous, you can be anything. Just like being learned, the only limit is your own imagination. So the next time someone tries to put you in a box, remember Mrs. Bean's incredible journey. Remember that transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about discovering all the amazing parts of who you already are. This is the story they didn't want you to know. But now you know the truth. What will your transformation look like? The choice is yours.